Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the LETSHUOER D13. This is the company's latest offering, a single dynamic 13mm driver. It's got a DLC diaphragm, so diamond-like coating diaphragm. The box very much following the usual LETSHUOER or Shure. Well, LETSHUOER is the current name. Shure is how I first got to know the brand, so sometimes don't take it the wrong way if I say Shure. So very much along the, 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 the parameters that they usually follow for that. Open up, take away the sleeve, and this opens out. And that's it. So the Iems, straight away we're greeted by them over here. I'll show it to you in a second. Take that out. The usual paperwork that Shure likes to include, guarantee cards, warranty, all sorts of stuff. I mean, really, I usually don't bother too much. And then it's got this product catalog, which is again very much something which they always do, which runs through all of the models that they have. Nice. I mean, this is actually a nice touch, and something that I wouldn't mind if it was done by more brands. Not at all the price range, but from a specific price point onwards, I think it would be nice. The case, okay. Look, as carrying cases go, it's fine. It's small. Do I think that it is ideal for the IEM in question, or for any IEM plus a cable or possible cable swap? Not really. It's very small. Plenty of tips. All the tips are always very nice quality, and it brings as well this, which is these swappable nozzles. This one is with the gold, as you can see. I've left the stock silver on there, and the reason why I've left the silver on there is because what this basically just does is increase slightly by about 2 dBs the upper mids, around 2-3K more or less. It just boosts it up slightly, and in my opinion, it doesn't benefit actually the sound. This is my opinion. Obviously I respect and I'm open to other ideas, but I don't think it benefits the sound. Anyway, it is just what it is. These are the tips. Case. Just close this up. Get it out of the way. There we go. Paperwork. And close off the box. Close off the box. Okay, and put in the sleeve. Alright, that's the box. The accessories, more than fine, more than adequate. We're talking roughly anywhere between $100 and $120, depending on which store you're getting it from. So I guess it's fine. Obviously at that price we have a lot of competition, a lot of very tough competition. Let's look at the Iems. Okay. First things first, cable. Very nice cable. It was already the same situation with the S12. The stock cable was already very nice, and I've actually got an S12 back there. Cable is spot on. I got the 4.4. It's nice. It doesn't tangle. It's really nice. I mean, well done. Seriously, well done. This is the sort of, this for me, this should be kind of the base for IEMs in terms of what cable to bring. Obviously, I'm not expecting a cable like this in an IEM that costs $20, but an IEM that costs, let's say, $70 and above, this is what I think should be the standard. IEMs. It's got this, well, it's not a novel form factor, but this different form factor, which is very nice. Kind of an open back design. You can see, vent there, vent in the front. It's different. It looks nice. uh, personally, this is not just me personally, I just feel that this logo and it and I mean, no disrespect intended to LETSHUOER, it looks cheap, people. It doesn't, it just looks cheap. I wish it was an engraving of some sort. It just doesn't look nice. I don't know. The rest of the shape is fine. Obviously, with this kind of bullet style, the fitment is always going to be more delicate, and it's a hit or miss, I guess. The tip will very much be the deciding factor. I noticed actually that to get it to fit nicely, it would have to sit in this position in my ear. Okay, so instead of being more like that with the cable going around the ear straight away, I noticed that in my case the cable will have to go forward. So my nose is over there, the cable will have to go forward, then around the ear, and in this position kind of fit in more securely and better. Isolation and that is okay. I mean, it could be better. Like I said, tips of the ones that make or break the fit of the IM. As with regards to the driver itself, look at that. That's some serious magnet power there. That's some serious magnet power there. That's it. I guess in terms of you know, driver, what it's capable of in terms of its physical abilities and so on and so forth. That's that. Let's talk about what I have in front of me and what I have and what I took to compare it with. All right. At this price point, what LETSHUOER has basically done is been able to offer an IM which is and this is going to sound maybe wrong what I'm going to say, but is let's say a little bit underpriced. Or rather, let me rephrase that. They've priced it at what it should be the correct price for a product of this level. It's perhaps other brands that are overpricing their products. Okay, because the truth is you do not have a lot of single DD drivers at this price range. You don't. You basically have the Chapeau and Olina, okay? You have the Raptgo Leaf, and that's that. Then the rest, BQEYZ Autumn, which is one of the ones that I've selected, Tense Shimhana, and then Moondrop Kato, they all are in the upper 170, 190, 200 plus dollars. And in that aspect, they've basically done what they did with the S12, which is offer a very good product, because let's be honest here, the D13 is a very good product. It has its flaws, which I'll get into it in a few minutes. It has its flaws, but it's a very good product, very well built, solid set of accessories at a very competitive pricing. I mean, the only thing that's more competitive than this, honestly, is the Chapeau and the Olina for $99. I mean, let's call things by what they are. In terms of its sound, what are we talking about here? Well, this is definitely a V-shaped signature. It's very much a V-shaped signature. Well, once I get into the graph section later on in the video, you'll be able to see that. It's a V-shaped signature, but it's been very, very well done. That's the truth. The bass is definitely the star of the show here. The execution, the speed, the quality, the texture, the resolving capability of the bass is really something else. Definitely this driver, I can imagine this driver being used in a hybrid or in a tribrid, and being used and extracting of it its full potential, because it is a good driver. Okay, so the bass is the star of the show here. There's no bleed, there's no into the mids, nothing. It's just been very well tuned in that aspect. Okay, the fact that it's a 13mm driver, you also feel that, and this is something that you acquire the more and more you listen to different Iems, and the more experience you gain. You feel when an Iem is struggling and when an Iem is not struggling, and I mean you can see that this, as the saying goes, there's no replacement for displacement, and this referring to obviously car engines. You can see that being a 13mm driver, it effortlessly reproduces the low frequencies without at any point showing any sort of strain or struggling or anything of the sort. It goes nice and deep, fetches all the seismic abilities that you would expect from a driver of this size. So there's plenty of low bass, good, really good mid bass slam, and it's the marriage of that sub bass and the mid bass. And the funny thing here is that very seldomly do you see an IM being able to do both things well. Depending on what it's focused on, it will do that particular area well, and then the other one loses out. And this is one of those few times that, yes, it's been well done. There's ample sub bass, there's excellent mid bass. Both complement each other nicely, and complement then the mids beautifully. Texture, definition, speed, everything is just been very nicely done. And then on the opposite end, you have all this energy, which kind of takes away a little bit from the mid-range, and the mid-range is the left to a second plane of showing itself off. The nozzle, which is exchangeable. I mean, you can see I've got the silver one there. Okay, the nozzle, just screw it out and you put the other one on. The nozzle, the gold one, just increases slightly the mids, upper mids, and in my opinion, it then even potentiates showing off the bad aspects, or not bad is not a good word, the not so favorable aspects of the D13, which is that it has a tendency of being a little bit borderline shouty. It can be a little bit sibilant. It is, although that whole frequency is slightly subdued as opposed to the extremes, somehow it just jumps out very much, and it can get very much in your face. Okay, so that means that specific genres might get fatiguing when you listen to this. If you like listening to female vocals, I think female vocals can get a little bit on the harsh side here, especially if it's if there's a lot of high notes or in her voice and so on and so forth. This is just my opinion, obviously, and with what I usually listen to. But having said that, and basically showcasing one of its one of two flaws that it basically has, which is the fact that it can get a little bit aggressive in the mids and in the vocals. Then the other part where it kind of doesn't shine as well as it could is with regards to the technicalities. I mean, soundstage is a little bit closed. It's not bad, but it's just a little bit closed. And with that, it brings imaging as well along. And with that as well, detailed retrieval. So those three aspects of the technicalities of the D13, in my opinion, are not the ones that really make it shine. And you notice they are at fault, let's put it that way, when, for example, you listen to a Japan Olina. You listen to an Olina, and then you listen to this straight away, and you can see immediately that the Olina is way superior in terms of its technical capabilities, way superior. The redeeming factor here then, I would say, in terms of the technical aspect of things, is that it actually does have a nice tonality. It does have a nice timbre. Although you do have this rich bass, I didn't really find that it was wrong. Everything sounded, the instruments sounded correct. Vocals, male vocals didn't sound over thick or overemphasized. Neither did female vocals sound that way as well. If anything, they just sounded slightly laid back. So tonally, it's acceptable. It's fine. Obviously, being at the price point where it is, it doesn't have a lot of competitors, but it does have at the same time competitors priced just a little bit higher up and just a little bit lower down in terms of the overall price, which do give the D13 a good run for its money, and that's where its flaw then lies. As compared, for example, and like I said, I've got the following Iems here, as compared to the Leaf, and let me just make it clear, compared to the stock Leaf, the D13 is far superior, far superior, compared to the Leaf as it stands here now in front of us with the modified nozzle filter. It's just a question of getting in the filter and putting in the nozzle. Compared to the Leaf as it is here, no, the Leaf is better. It doesn't have the bass of the D13, no it doesn't, but in terms of then the mid presentation, vocals, detailed retrieval, soundstage, imaging, all of those aspects are then superior in the Leaf as compared to the D13. It's as simple as that. I don't want to put one down or bring the other one up. This is what it is. Stock format, the Leaf doesn't have a chance with the D13. If you have a Leaf and you've done the nozzle filter mod, it is a better IM than the D13. Okay. Compared to the Olina, it's stock. With stock, the Olina suffers from maybe being as well a little bit over energetic. It doesn't have the bass that the D13 has. No way, it doesn't. And it can get a little bit too much at around 4, 5, 6K sometimes, and some people complained about it. But again, if you do the double Olina damper on it, it just changes the Olina completely. It gains 2 dBs more or less in the bass, across the bass, cleans up the mids, the upper mids, and the presence area, plateaus everything nicely. Gone is that tendency of being over energetic or over harsh or just a touch sibilant, and it just shines. It makes the Olina shine, and the Olina is a superior IM to the D13. It just doesn't, where the D13 basically just beats all of the IEMs that I have here, is in its bass performance. That's why I said I would like to see that driver in a hybrid or in a tribrid. That driver used in a hybrid or in a tribrid to its full potential, I think it will be absolutely killer. All right, but as it is, compared to the stock Olina, they very much equal. The Olina will edge it out in terms of its technicalities and so on and so forth. Yes, once modified, the Olina does step up a notch or two and become superior to the D13. The other IEM that I brought out, these two are more or less priced the same as the D13. The other two IEMs that I thought, let me just bring them out, especially because of their bass performance, were, well, the BQEYZ, the Autumn. This is obviously substantially more expensive. You can get it now. Sometimes I've seen it having some sales on it, and the price does come down a little bit, but this is roughly $200. It oscillates slightly, but it's anywhere between $190 and $210. That's the price. So it is a substantially more expensive IEM than the D13. It sports also a 13mm driver, and in stock format as well. It does have a little bit of a peak there at 5 that can be too much for some people. However, the nozzles that it brings, as you can see there, these swappable nozzles, all right, you see there, these swappable nozzles give it allow it to have a versatility in its tuning that counteracts that possible aggressiveness that you have at 5K. And you know, it just transforms the Autumn. You can basically have the Autumn be very neutral in the bass or be a bass monster, and by changing that way of putting forward the bass, it will affect obviously the mids and how the mids are coming out, or more resolving, less resolving, more present, less present. And you know, it just makes the Autumn overall a better IEM than the D13. Again, the one area where these two are very much comparable is in the bass. The bass of the Autumn is amazing. The bass of the D13 is equally amazing. And finally, the other IEM, which I thought would be interesting to have it here, again because of the quality of the bass. And I just, it seems like I'm touching on the same topic all the time, bass, because the truth is that's what the D13 has as its main standout feature. It's amazing bass. It's the Hana, the 2021. The Hana is one of my recs, and that's $200 for single DD, and yes, it's got very much that typical harmonish sound that Tanstrom implements. Beautifully executed, amazing bass. Really, the tonality, the texture of music that this IEM is capable of, giving vocals and instruments and songs, it is just very, very, very good. And again, in terms of bass, yes, the D13 is capable of giving me the performance which is very, very on par with this, and that's why it immediately reminded me of the Hana. But then it just lacks in terms of its mids and highs and the way that those are reproduced, and it's a no contest. The Hana is a superior IEM. Okay. What is then my takeaway message from this? Well, my takeaway message from this is, yes, it is a well accessorized IEM. Has a fantastic driver with a tremendous amount of potential. And once again, I'm going to repeat this once more. I really want to see this driver in something more serious. I think it will really, really show its true potential. But as it is, as a single DD, it's just got a lot of very, very good IEMs that, even being more expensive, they are sufficiently better to justify their price increase. And if you don't want to go more expensive, and if you want to maintain yourself at basically the same price, you've got the Chapeau and Olina. And honestly, if you do have an Olina, and if you've modded the Olina, it makes no sense, in my opinion, to get the D13. No sense. As compared to the Leaf, if you have a standard Leaf, then the D13 is superior. And if you're not going to modify it, then the D13 is superior. But if you've got the Leaf and you've done this little mod here on the vent, keep it. It is a fantastic IEM. Honestly, the Leaf is not been getting its deserved value. It's not been getting its deserved value, and it's a pity. It's a real pity. Well accessorized, well built. It's got some interesting details in the construction, which are seldomly seen. And it's just been very poorly tuned, that's all. Okay. As for the more expensive ones, and like I said, I could have had the airship here, I could have had the Kato, I could have the Hibilazia, I could have had quite a few more single DDs which are more expensive, and I just basically just kept it to these, simply because their bass is very, very similar to the bass of the D13, or the D13's bass is similar to that, so And finally, the S12, and this is where things really get complicated, because when you are able to pick this up now at around $130 odd, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Get this instead of the D13. And again, please, I don't want no one to be offended by what I'm saying. I'm just being honest. This is on a league of its own. In terms of its technical abilities, wow. Oh, okay, but the S12 can be too much and it's got a lot of treble and this and this and that. Well, if you guys have seen the short bus mod, it's an easy mod to do. Very, very easy mod to do. Even if you do not want to open up the shell, just want to do it externally on the nozzle, you can do that and it will tame down the mids and the highs. But you know, this is a serious planar IEM that is competing and reproducing music way above its price. I mean, I have no issues whatsoever in taking an S12 and comparing it to IEMs in the $300, $400, $500 even price bracket. No issues. It holds its own very well, and the fact that you can get it for $20, $25 more, I mean, than the D13. I think I've said it. I think I've said enough. There is absolutely not even the bass of the D13 is superior to the bass of the S12. Quality wise, the bass of the S12 is just fantastic. Honestly, you give this some power, and in that aspect, yes, that's a plus point for the D13. The D13 is relatively easy to power. But you give this, well, all planers, but you give this some nice clean power, and you will not be disappointed. It will just immerse you in the music that you're listening to, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's really a fantastic IEM. So yeah, I would say, yeah, I could recommend this if you want something different, but you have a lot of other viable options, which I think just at the end of the day make more sense than the D13. Alright, hopefully they will come out with an improvement, and let's see what that sounds like. Anyway guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Please forgive me for not putting the timestamp straight away on the videos. I do it maybe a few hours later, maybe a day later, but it's then put on there. All the links, all the music, everything is always put on there. It's just sometimes a little bit overwhelming for me, and that's why I take my time sometimes. Alright, thank you, take care, bye bye. Hi guys, and welcome to the graph section of my review for the D13. This is the graph of the D13, and as you can see, and as I mentioned in my review, very nice sub-bass focus, the transition into the mid-bass, and then the way it goes into the mids, it's flawless. I mean, by 200 hertz, it's almost flat. I mean, this is really very well executed bass. I mean, let me just, for the sake of comparison, show you here something. My apologies. Okay, this is the bass of, for example, the LETSHUOER EJ07, and as you can see, yes, of course, there's more energy in the D13, unquestionably, but the overall premise of how the bass is executed is very nice, and to a certain extent almost similar. You know, you can see similarities in the way that one IEM was tuned and how the other was tuned. Another one, again, which is actually quite interesting, is, oops, sorry, my apologies, I should have had this ready, is this, yeah. There we go. Let me just change its color so we can see it better. There we go. And now align it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the bass graph. Oh, well, the graph actually, not the bass graph, but the graph of the Elysian X. And it's considered by some people to be one of the better bass executions that you can have. And I mean, I think it speaks for itself. The D13 in that aspect has nailed it spot on. Beautiful execution of the bass, almost identical to to the illusion, except for maybe just a little bit less energy, in the real low end. But as you can see, perfect. But anyway, this is not what we are yet to compare it with. This is the D13. With a change of the nozzle to the gold one, this area here rises just slightly, okay? And I think it actually, although graphically you would think no, but I think it actually spoils things. I don't know, I just don't like the way that it sounds with the different nozzle. That's me. This next one here, which I'm gonna change the color, is, sorry, there we go. This is the 10th strum Hana, and how it graphs next to the D13, and as you can see, yes, definitely there's a little bit extra bass in terms of its overall energy, but it's unperceivable really. It's then just the way that bass marries with the upper mids and the presence. It's this marriage here that makes the Hana sound the way it does. And then this area here, this dip, usually also helps with the creation of the illusion of a good sound stage, good space, let's put it that way. And again, it's been extremely well executed in the Hana. The next one here is the Chapeau and Olina, and the Chapeau and Olina very much follows the Hana. I mean, if I actually just take away the D13 and I put the Hana, and you can see them. Chapeau Olina modified with the stock Hana, you can see that they are almost identical, and they sound almost identical. So same thing, Olina with the D13. It's this marriage, this coherence that makes it sound the way it does, and have then the technical abilities that it has, and sound so clean, so good. It's as simple as that. The next one is the Raptco. The stock Raptco is this one, and I mean, honestly, let me change the color so you can see it better. The stock Raptco, I really wouldn't say that it stands that much of a chance against the D13, although graphically it seems not too bad. But the magic of the Raptco happens is when you actually change the nozzle, and again, alas, a nice marriage between the low end and the upper end, and that almost flattish kind of representation here just contributes to an overall very pleasing music reproduction. I mean, really nice. This is difficult for me to sometimes convey, because you would have to listen to one and the other. But trust me, you listen to one and you listen to the other, and you notice differences. You just feel that the Raptco is a more polished IEM. And mind you, and like I said as well in the review section, all of this is basically just centered around this area, in the way that the upper mids, the mids, the upper mids especially, presence are handled, because the bass section of the D13 is absolutely flawless. And then here finally, let me take away that, and then here there finally the graph of the BQEYZ. Okay, here we go, the BQEYZ. This is in its stock nozzle, everything stock as it comes. Some similarities as well, as you can see in the overall way that it's executed. The peak at 5K that I mentioned, and this is with a little small mod, again following the lines of the mod as well, done on the leaf, where that peak at 5K is tamed, and then the bass I've just brought it down by changing the actual nozzle that it brings. Okay, the mod is on the nozzle itself. This is on the vent. The vent is controlled will control the bass, and you can see that there's a little bit of a difference there in the bass by changing the vent filters. But this is the BQE as I listen to it, and as you can see, very similar, very similar. And although it still has this bump here at 5K, it just sounds overall more satisfying. Anyway, guys, that's the graphs of the D13 compared to the Iems that I had here. Hope you liked it. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.